Oh, who lies? Starting out with a big yawn. Nope. Alright, well, we got a couple watching. I'll wait a little bit longer. See if anybody else jumps on here. And we'll get rolling. Who I got watching right now? Whoa, down to one. I don't have anybody anymore. Oh, and then there's three. Alright, we're going to get going on this. We're doing this skull and raven. Last week all we did was cover the skull. We're going to cut it off tonight, put it back together, and do another layer mache over this, and then we'll have to set that off to dry before I deal with any of the teeth and adding that stuff on. Last week when I made those teeth though, I made those other ones I just bunched up and threw down. Hey Ross, what's up? And those teeth turned out a little bit better, so I'm going to use those teeth instead of the ones on the toothpick. But we'll worry about later. Hey everybody, hey Shannon. Main goal tonight, we're just going to get this cup apart, show you how to do that. It can be real pain sometimes. Get it back together, get a layer of mache on it, and then I think I'm going to start basically the skull of the head of the raven, and then kind of the rib cage, and I've got some wire that I think I'm going to use for the bulk of the armature, or just to hold it together. And I spent some time, I looked at like skeletons, raven skeletons and things like that, and I got an idea on how to do the rib cage a little bit. So we're gonna, what's up Dan? We're gonna focus on the skull and the rib cage to kind of get those in position where they need to be, and then it'll be just a bulk type thing. And then later we'll cut it out because I want to have ribs showing and things like that. So it's going to be a little different doing the raven. And I'm going to wing it, play it by ear. I'm not sure exactly how we're going to do it. And then also we're going to wind up adding lights to this. And I'm not going to do that tonight. That's going to come later. And I don't want to just put, and I got to figure that out because I don't just want to put LEDs just stuck in here. I'd rather have some kind of light that's inside and have some kind of maybe a clear ball or something inside each one of these eyes, and where the light would light up and just produce more of a glow, not just a couple red LEDs. We'll figure that out later. I'm still debating on how exactly I'm going to do that. But enough of that. Let's get cutting this thing apart. Oh, and last week too, I went back and re-watched my own video on my skull. And everybody's right. I didn't wrap that thing in tape. I've done it before, but I didn't. The biggest thing I messed up on last week is I started with the face right here, and I couldn't get it to stick. I start with the bottom. When you start with the bottom and cover all this stuff first, it's easier for this to stick to the bottom, and then wrap around and do the face last. That way you've got some paper already stuck here, and you've got paper already stuck down here. That way when you come through the eyes and you wrap around, you've already got some mache to stick that stuff to. So it's easier if you don't wrap it with tape. You just got the aluminum foil, start with the bottom, work your way around. Works a lot better. I probably should have watched my own video before I even did this last week. It's been such a long time since I've done this stuff. We're going to go ahead and trace out our cut lines that I'm going to follow here. I'm going to cut this thing apart. And see, the reason I started doing this a few years ago, all the things I saw on skulls, when everybody was doing these, like they'd replicate them, they'd only wrap the top side, right? And this whole bottom half would be left open. And you'd pull it off and you'd have a half skull, which is pretty cool, but I wanted a full skull. So that's why when I started doing it, I started wrapping all the way around and then cutting these apart in sections. That way when I went back together, I had a complete skull all the way around, not just half of one. It's a little more of a pain, but it works out well. Gives you a full skull. And it's been forever since I've even done this. Vicky. Hello, Vicky. A paper mache mask. I have. I've done a couple, and I've got this. I should probably show you guys. I've got a work in progress that I never finished, where I did this Medusa mask, and it was a based off a Mardi Gras style mask, and then I put the snakes on it and stuff, and then started scaling it, and I never got finished with it. I've got it in here. I can show you guys the unfinished project if you're interested. But I've done a couple mache masks before. What one? Oh yeah, I did. What was that movie? The Purge. And there's a kid, a local kid here in Baxter, and he watched the Purge 2, and the Uncle Sam mask that was on there, he wanted that for Halloween, so I wound up doing a commission job, and I built him the Uncle Sam mask from the Purge 2. It turned out really cool. I had pictures, I think they're on my computer, and I posted it. I think I posted it on Facebook a couple different times, and it turned out pretty cool. I was thinking about that the other day, though, making some masks to wear. Oh, and one last line. My gosh, I almost forgot this. Oh, God. My brain is not with it. You guys will have to forgive me. It's been a long couple of weeks with work, and then we're doing a remodel on the house from the father-in-law so he can move down. So it's just been work and working on that thing 7 days a week, and then doing this on Monday nights, and kind of lose focus a little bit. Plague masks. Yeah, those things are cool. I've thought about doing some of those plague doctor masks. I think they got a really neat look to them. Oh, so anyone, I guess I'm doing this, I'm not really showing you guys. You guys, if anyone hasn't seen the videos, so I drew a line all the way around the top of the skull, came down to about the jaw line here, and that's going to be a cut line. Then we took another one down the center of the skull right here, and then around the bottom side we pulled a line, and then that follows down through, and then along the teeth right here. I'm going to cut all these lines, and this will come apart in 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces, and then once we get it peeled up the skull, we'll put it back together. The hardest part is getting this face off. You get such grip around these eyes and around the jaw. This is a real pain. You just got to kind of work at it and work slow with it, but diligently with it, and you can get it off. First time I did one, I didn't ever think I was going to get that front of the face off. It was very frustrating. but I finally got it. And let's hope I put enough layers of Mache on the skull, because like I said, I was going to finish layering it up, and then I got busy with working on remodeling the house and everything else, and then finally Sunday night after I got home, I remembered, oh yeah, I got to throw some more Mache on that skull, so I ran down here real quick last night and threw some layers on it. We're going to find out if I put enough layers on it tonight once we cut this apart. This may be a total fail. Do what? Greg's on. What's up, Greg? See what I can do this without cutting my fingers tonight, too. I think I'm actually like cutting into the skull because I'm trying to cut real deep, and I don't think I have enough layers on this to worry about that. And I think I'm cutting into the skull. These giant thumbs over down here. He's like, every Monday night you guys do this. Well, has anybody got any projects they're working on, or has anybody actually started this project as well? Yes. I'm quiet tonight. I couldn't sleep an hour ago. Oh, these on? Those pumpkins have turned out really sweet too. I really like them. Oh, oh, right on. How did you like painting around that spider? That's such a pain. I should have got it blade. You got there something cool. He's too picky. Absolutely, you sure can. You could even use a foam skull, but with no Mache over it. But that's not how I roll. Detail as far as in what? Like in a pumpkin, or what are you working on? What's the detail you're having an issue with? I'll try to help you. Is it in paper clay you can't get detail with? Is it in the strip Mache part? Yeah, I'm going to tear this thing apart. It's not even close to being picking up. This is going to be fun. She answered back on detail.
Oh, your daughter's on here. She said hi.
Breathe on. That's fine. Alright, let's see if I got this cut through. This is the most frustrating part of replicating a skull, and that's getting this pulled apart.
You said getting the fine lines and the jagged smiley to get pumpy.
Are you putting the clay on first and then kind of carving out your smiles, or are you, because I do it two ways. I do it where I, like in the small pumpkin, I put all the clay on first and then I carved it out. My bigger pumpkins, I kind of build the smile. And if you're carving it out and it gets, that's the thing. If you got all your clay on there right and then you've carved the eyes and the mouth or whatever, you can kind of pull that out. There's a lot of times your toilet paper will get caught up in there and it drags. If you've got a good sharp X-Acto knife, once you've traced out the shape of your eyes or the shape of your mouth, you can also take that X-Acto knife and go back through there and kind of score through all that a little bit and help get a better cut to it. But no matter what, even with, when you're using paper mache clay, with toilet paper or whatever, there's always those pieces in there. So after you drag it out, and you just got to go back in, you know, with a smaller tool, some kind of a sculpting tool like this, and you just got to rework in all those details, push all that stuff around. It's frustrating. You just got to spend some time with it and work it over, but you can get those details. And then if your paper clay is a little too lumpy, it gives you issues too. That's why I stay away from the insulation clay. Or I use that fiber blow-in insulation. I've used it in the past. It's good for bulking stuff out, but when you really want to get fine details, that stuff's a pain because it's so coarse. It's hard to get fine details with that stuff. Right on, Joseph. I'm gonna mutilate this skull. Oh my gosh.
This is what you don't do, right?
Well, it's just part of it, part of the fact that I haven't done skull for a long time. Oh, I'm so glad you made it down here.
What is the tool you're using there?
This tool? Or this tool? The blue tool or this tool? Because this is a knife. A box knife. This, I think this is a palette knife. Yeah, right on. I bought like a pack of these from Hobby Lobby, and I think they use this for painting. Yeah, palette knife. I'm not a painter. I only bought these for actually sculpting with and getting fine lines, and then I specifically bought this kit just for taking apart the skull. because it's so thin and you can get under the mache and it bends so easy and it helps you pull that stuff apart. But I don't use it for painting.
Because I tell you, I get a lot of drag. Short tools will help, and I just need to look at them.
Yeah, sharp tools and metal. When you're working with paper clay, metal, I don't know what it is, but metal, if you use metal, a little bit of water, it works a lot better. If you're using plastic tools, it grabs the clay and acts funky. I try to stay away from plastic tools. They don't work as well. Let's get the rest of this pulled apart before I start putting that on there. Yeah, I don't seem to use any hobby tools for the correct purposes. Wow, that's funny.
Yeah, you even have some teeth things in here you use.
Oh yeah, for cooking the food clean. Yeah, all that stuff works out nice. Oh, there we go. There's another piece. All right. Now this is the hardest part. This is the hardest thing to get off. I mean, I know that bottom was a little bit of a struggle, but this is the biggest pain. So I'll use my palette knife and I'm going to start up on the head here, and I'm going to shove this thing up in here as far as I can. Amy, I figured by doing this live, you guys could really see the struggle. I'm going to start on the top, work my way down, and then this area right here is the biggest pain. And I'll really work this palette knife until I get way down in here, trying not to break this, and I'll pull it loose a section at a time until I get it to come all the way off. How are you, baby? That's okay.
Amy says you're making it look too easy.
This is the part that I cussed the most. I remember the first time I did this. Oh my God, I almost took the skull and threw it against the wall. I was so mad. I didn't think there was any way it was ever going to come off. And I just kept working at it, And oh, see, I broke it. Did you hear that? I broke the jawline over here. It'll mache back together. That's the best thing. You probably could. However, when you go back together, it's already a big enough pain in the butt taping these bigger, easier sections with no detail and holding it back together. I think it'd be a pain. It'd be easier to take off, but meshing it back together again, I think it would be much more of a pain than what it's worth. But it's worth a try. I'm not going to try it tonight. starting to loosen up on me. We'll be off here pretty soon. See, and the good thing about this knife, of course I broke this right here, and I'm going to have to shape it back together, but the palette knife, you can slide right on that cheekbone and get it up in here and work that loose too. I don't know. Alright, come on, baby. Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with Greg on that. We're almost there. But I didn't layer this up quite enough because I'm deforming my face as I'm doing this. Oh, it's hanging tight right there on the nose. Come on. There we go. Just like that. See, that wasn't hard. It came off like butter. Now we don't need this anymore. Nothing to it. The only part that I don't like about okay. And I always try to get a lot of this yeah, aluminum foil, that's what I'm looking for, back out of my skull. It is frustrating though, but if you just work with it, be gentle, be like forceful gentle, right? And don't get too upset. It will come off and will come apart. You said what?
Like a child.
Like a child. And what is that supposed to mean? My daughter's in the audience tonight. Posting comments. Easy Breezy is watching from her bedroom, obviously. So if my internet starts running slow, it's her fault because she's sucking up the internet from another room while I'm trying to do this. I should probably leave this stuff in here if I'm going to light this thing up. It'll probably give me better reflection for the light defense off it.
Oh, what were you thinking?
I don't know. That was stupid. Maybe I should do this in here. I don't know if I can get the tape to stick to it. That'll work. I think I'm going to do that.
Said yes.
It's her fault that we're putting lights in it, and I still got to figure that out. So I think Amy should send me some LEDs. No, but I'm not going to use those. I'm going to do something different. Because I'm going to put like a bulk.
Maybe so that you could paint that glittery palette color.
Paint will work. And I do that on my pumpkins. I want to mache this skull back together tonight. And I don't want to sit around and paint these individually and put them back together, because once I put the skull back together, it's going to be almost impossible to paint. So I'm going to leave the aluminum foil in here for the most part.
Jason said that it's different aluminum that says use it on the inside.
Oh, I've got aluminum tape. That's not my truck. No, I don't. I left it at the job site. Dang it. I know what you're talking about. I use it every day in heat and air work. But I don't have any with me. I left my roll at the house we're working on. So we're going to try good old masking tape. Hopefully it'll hold. Isn't this like the second time I've done this on a live class? That we're only face. I've had a little bit of a spill here. I'm trying to clean this up before it gets to everything else. Serious party foul. Someone better text Bree. Is she still watching? I bet she is watching. She's probably, yeah, start pretending that she didn't hear it or see it. Yes, it would. I don't either. I'll have to text one of the boys. Alright, let's get this thing taped back together. And get a layer of mache on it and move on to... Oh, it so was. It was a fresh glass, and now it's all in a towel. Like 5 minutes in my plate here. See, now I was going to fill this thing with foam to give that raven something better to hang on to when I stick that down in there. And then I'm going to try to light this up. I may have something, I might have to approach that completely different. Yeah. It wasn't crowned. It was cheap. Yeah, this is going to be interesting because my original plan is I was going to backfill this whole thing with foam so that I had something to kind of shove the armature of the Raven down into to really hold it into place tight. But then if we're going to light this thing up, and I don't want to just use LEDs in the eyes, I may have to make some kind of a hollow cup inside here that I can foam fill around. Oh, that's going to be a pain.
Well, Brian said next project taking up these sippy cups.
Right on.
Just prepare.
Right. Unhinged and shade sippy cups. You can buy yours online for $9.99. 4 easy payments of $19.99.
You need to dump it out.
Thanks, bro. You know what's going to happen, right? I'm going to mache this whole thing back together and get a good solid skull. And then I'm going to wind up cutting it all back open again just to do this the light deal. That's exactly what's going to happen.
Having good ideas.
That's exactly what's going to happen.
Oh, virus phone is on, so it's fine when you put the lock on.
Oh, right on. Right on. Hmm?
I missed it. It said that before.
No, it was an earlier comment. You know what else I screwed up on? Generally, when I make the cut lines, I also make registration lines. So that, and that's a smart thing to do. When you make your lines to cut, do registration marks first. That way you pull it all back together, back in the same spot. And you don't twist your skull out of shape. Luckily, the newspaper I put on has got some lines in it that I can use as registration lines. So what happens when you're thinking about other stuff besides the project? Registration lines on this side would be awesome. I don't really have them. Excuse me while I talk to myself. Talk amongst yourselves.
Those are all the time, don't have them full yet.
And when I was doing all those groundbreakers, the skull blinks were nothing. Now it's like learning all over again. I've been on a pumpkin kick for so long.
That's for this one.
And my never-ending magical glass is shown back out.
Thank God for 3 children you have
That's right.
that are going to be bartenders.
My kids are going to make great bartenders when they're older. I'm trying to think of things to talk about, but I'm trying to concentrate on this at the same time.
You guys need to give me something to do, so you better start chatting.
This guy's flying over.
Don't give the bottom to that motherfucker.
The bottom to what?
Oh, you do. But why don't you ever use bottom?
What?
The bottom to your jaw.
Oh, over there, because this one, you were here when I explained this, right? This one, this skull's just gonna set flat like this, and then the raven's gonna be on top. And I feel like that makes more sense instead of having your jaw on the bottom side. So that's why there's no jaw on this one. I could have sworn you were here for that.
I wasn't here.
That live class.
Or I went to bed at night.
No, that would have been at the beginning of the class. I think the only one you missed out was like the first one on the pumpkin. And Cam did it. So how many of you guys that are on here watching are Hunters Hangout fans? We're going to have a pretty decent show this Thursday with a bunch of hunt actors, it looks like. Should be a pretty good show. Greg is, yep, right on. See, that's the mix I'm trying to figure out, because there's a lot of people in the Facebook group that are hunters, they know who Hunters Hangout is, and then there's a lot that don't know that, and they're just more into art and kind of into Halloween. But Jason's never heard of it. Hunters Hangout, man, it's one of my buddies, Diablo Lopez, he started the whole thing quite a few years ago. I've been on it a few times. I've had a lot of fun with Jose with Diablo. I know him really well. But it's a YouTube channel. If you look up Diablo85, you'll find the YouTube channel. And also, there's Hunters Hangout Facebook group. You can go join there. And so Hunters Hangout, before it was the Facebook group, was always just this live show on YouTube where all these different guys, see, everybody in that kind of hunt world used to be on YouTube a whole lot, right? And everybody made their props and they would show off over the weekend what they built and what they had accomplished, and everybody kind of got to know each other that way. I mean, that's how I met everybody as well. So then I started doing Hunters Hangout, where all these guys that had yard hunts and different stuff, they just did a show where they highlighted all these different guys and talked about the different props and things they did. And back in the day, man, back in the day when it first started, I think we all drank more than we really talked about our hunts, because as the night got going further and further, everybody was getting drunker and drunker, and it was a whole lot of fun. But it still goes on. So if you don't know what it is, go find Hunters Hangout on Facebook. Look up Diablo85 on YouTube. And every Thursday night, they do a live show on there. They have about 8 guests or whatever. And they're either talking about yard hunts. Now there's pro hunters are getting into it, and so you can. And they have a panel on there, and as they ask, you can ask questions to the panel, and then they've got the people on there who read the questions and ask the questions to the panel. You can get them answered. So if you're wanting to start a pro hunt or whatever, and this pro hunt guy's on there, you can ask them questions and things like that, and they'll answer them. It's been going on for 6 years? 5 or 6 years. It's fun.
Amy says I haven't made the time for AJ for like a few weeks, and the guy that's not told me, but a little OD party.
Right on. It's still a good show. It's not what it used to be. I still really enjoy it though. Got whatever. I'm hoping. Maybe. I'm beginning to wonder if Dave will even get that crap done this year. I submitted that dragon. I wanted to see if I got anything. Maybe even an honorable mention on there. Yeah, there's been some cool props on HH. Yes, ma'am. 4 years in a row. We didn't make it this year, and we didn't make it last year. I was really broke last year, so we didn't make it. And this year, we just had other things going on. I'm hoping to make it next year.
It's always my
Anniversary's usually right around that time, yeah. One of these years, if everything pans out, I'll be there as a vendor, which would be a lot of fun. Yeah, I love Transworld. I love Transworld. Let's Mache this guy together and make him one piece. And let's figure out what we're going to do with this Raven. At least start on this Raven. I gotta stir the glue off the bottom of my bucket. Get it mixed up a little bit. You guys can only see the buildup inside this bucket. Yeah, MHC is coming up. I haven't made it to MHC yet. I wanted to, but anytime it came up, it's like I spent all my money at Transworld and everything else, and life happens, and I'm never able to make it out to MHC. So when I'm to do this back together, yeah, we got this tape on here. I'm really only going to lay Mache at this point in time right over all these cut edges. And I'm only going to focus right there, and I'm only going to put a few layers on that, and then I'm going to let that set up and dry out completely. Once that dries out completely, then I'm going to go over the whole skull again with 2 or 3 more layers to make it even stronger. The reason I always do that is because there was a time where I didn't, and I just tried to rush the whole thing and Mache at this point the whole thing all over again. And I wound up getting so many layers that everything kind of got weak, and these cut points started falling through and falling apart. So anymore, when I do these, I just Mache the cut points for 2 or 3 layers. I set that off and let it dry, and then I'll come back and wrap the whole skull completely again a couple more times. That way it's really strong, because generally when I do my skulls, if I do them for a groundbreaker or even a skull that's just sitting out like in a witch's hut or whatever, I don't normally ever clay these. It's generally just the strip Mache, and that's all it is. Especially on a groundbreaker, because you're throwing skin and things over it. Good night, Shannon. Different things like that. But with this skull, we're going to Mache over it, and then once we go back in and do the teeth and stuff, I think I'm going to put a full layer of clay over the top of this skull. I think it'll help out with supporting the Raven, because even while it's wet, and if I got the Raven's foot made, you may smash it down in here and get an imprint where that needs to set. So we'll see. But this skull here is going to get a layer of clay on it later on down the road. And we'll see how that pans out, because I normally don't. And I've got a little paper here. But luckily this is glued together. It's almost been an hour, and all I've done is cut this skull apart and put it back together again. It never seems like it's that long when you're just doing it for yourself and not something like this. Hey, cutie. She did. She knew all that back. But the bad thing is doing this live, and I hope you guys are learning something. That's really the whole point, right? Is for you guys to ask questions, things you don't really know or whatever, and I just want to answer those questions to really help you out. I mean, it's just a reason for me to get on here every week live and talk to you guys and answer any questions you got, maybe help you out on things. But every time I do this, even with that other little pumpkin, I feel like I'm rushing it just because I'm trying to entertain you guys at the same time. I feel like. But I've got skulls like this that I've done that have been either in my witches scenes or like in the trees and things like that that are going on 4 or 5 years now that are just the strip mache, and my stuff sets out in the weather for the whole month of October, and they're all still alive and doing well. That's the thing I see a lot, like in our group especially. People are always posting and asking questions. How to weatherproof mache, and if people won't leave it out in the rain, and that seems to be the #1 question. And I feel like I've answered that question 1,000 times, but it still seems like there's always new guys out there that still are unsure about leaving their stuff out. And I'm horrible, right? When I make my stuff, because back when I started doing my yard, I wanted my stuff to be out. So man, this stuff stays out. I don't care how much time I put into it, like the wolf I did and anything else, the dragon, whatever. If I spent 3 months on the project, when it comes to Halloween, it's out for 30 days. It's either going to make it or it's not going to make it. And so far, it's all really held up well. I don't have the time or the patience to want to run outside and grab my stuff and drag it back in because it's raining, and I'm also not the guy who is going to wait until 2 days before Halloween or the day of Halloween and try to set everything up that day and then tear it all back down that night. There's only been a couple times that I've pulled my props in or pulled a couple in. Last year we had a couple really bad storms coming in with tornado threats, and tornado threats are pretty likely, so I ran out and grabbed a couple choice pieces and put them back in the garage, but I just didn't want them to blow away in case tornado did come through. Uh-uh.
Is the pumpkin from last fall outside, or is it stuck over in the back?
It's still out there. It's still holding up well. The only thing that has happened, and I need to video that and show you guys. The only thing that happened, the stem fell off the top, but it wasn't because it wasn't because of weather. It's because it was so light, and I didn't set anything inside of it, and the wind has blown this thing off my porch like 100 times. I found it one day almost out of the road, and that thing's gone off, and it's hit and tumbled, and so it finally broke the stem off. Other than the stem breaking off, it's doing really good, and that was just due to it getting thrown all over the yard through the storms.
That's me. I'm not good family if I don't. I mean, I leave mine out from mid-September to October, and then the dog says go. Have you tried the two-part petroleum? Never went. It seems to me that I remember you did a video on it, whenever you can make the pumpkin in the bathtub.
Yes, I did. Yeah, I did that video when I submerged it in the bathtub, and then there's some vlogs after that, and I can't remember what they were or even what they were labeled, because I think I was doing other stuff, but I took a raw pumpkin and just had Never Wet on it, and then I set it outside just to see how long the Never Wet would last. And it only made it like, what was that, 2 months? I think it made it 2 months, and then it fell apart, started caving in. The Never Wet like turned a different color, and then it started breaking down, and then it allowed water penetration to come through it. So the Never Wet is a great if you want to spray it on right before Halloween or something like that, and it'll get you through that 30 days. But as a long-lasting sealer, it doesn't hold up, right? And it's only it just doesn't stick with it. And I still got some of it in here. And I can't remember. There's a vlog too about that where I even discussed that showing it that pumpkin fell apart and it kind of changed colors and kind of caved in.
It's so hot, and it's the more definitely more hot thing.
Yeah. Now I get better weather resistance results just using the spar urethane on my project and Never Wet. At first I thought it was just going to be unbelievably incredible, and it was incredible right at first, but once I really put it through some time, it broke down. And seeing the thing too, even with this other pumpkin that's outside, it's sealed up really well and it's holding up really well. But there's other things at play, I think, too, because that particular pumpkin, and it's got some cool detail. He looks really good. However, there is zero clay on that pumpkin either. So that pumpkin, like I said, it got blown around a whole lot because the thing only weighs like a pound. If that. It's very, very light, because I did the whole thing basically with cotton balls, and of course I did a Mache base, and then I did cotton balls and Mache paste to create all the ridges and do all the face stuff with. And I'll have to do a video on that one of these days and show you guys how to make a pumpkin using the cotton balls. And I think because it's so light, and yeah, it is weather resistant because of the polyurethane, but I think the fact that it's so light, it doesn't have, you got clay built up, and especially when you got a big mouth and you got all this heavy weighted clay on there, if it absorbs any moisture, sometimes your mouth will sag in a little bit. And if you can grab that thing while it's still kind of wet on the inside, and prop it back out and let it dry out, you're okay. These things I haven't noticed any sag in, and I think it's due to the fact that it's so light. But I'm not sure. And it was still one of the first ones where I sprayed my urethane on it raw, and then painted, and then urethaned it again. That could have part to do with it as well. But I really think it has to do with it being so light. So that's the goal. This big pumpkin sitting back there, I don't have him finished. That's the wood pumpkin, and the wood clay pumpkin. I need to go ahead and get him finished out painted so I can seal him up with his last bit of sealer. And then his whole purpose is to get thrown out in the yard and just live out there so I can see how it holds up versus standard clay. I need to put the wood clay to the weather test and see how well it does. Because I really like, I really did. I like the wood clay. It's a different beast, but I really like the way it sculpts. It sculpts easier. It's easier to cut eyes and things out and stuff like that. But it's just a different animal from paper clay. So that thing needs to go out and get tested. But I just got so much going on between work and this big remodel project that we're doing, and I got to get that done, and then I can focus more on props for Halloween, props for a possible spook house, and doing some more cool stuff for you guys. I need to get some other videos up on YouTube besides just these live videos. I need to do some more tutorials. I've promised for like 2 years that I was going to do a tutorial on those pumpkin jacks that I've done, and I need to build 3 more this year, so I really need to do what I said I was going to do and make a tutorial on that. For what? Where did my stand go? I got it out of my way. Let's take this thing here, bring out that one. And let's get this done real fast. No long places. Good night. Thanks for watching. I can't say I would call this a good tutorial, but I am very happy that you have hung out. Hi, Amy. Hey! Did she just get on? Right on. See, when people start saying good night, I'm like, oh, I want to go to bed. I'm going to get out of here watching something else. And it's just playing in the background.
Do you do this every Monday? It's all of the meeting, so what time for like 2 months? You're going to have to change it
So yeah, so I've been doing it every Monday, and that's really how I plan on it staying. But on the 30th, I got to move to Tuesday nights because my daughter is playing softball. So Monday nights and Thursday nights are going to be her softball game nights. So we're going to start doing it on Tuesday night. And normally my time, I start this at 8 o'clock, and I'm Central Standard Time on a Monday night. So next Monday it'll be 8 o'clock Central Standard Time, and hopefully on this project we'll be further along, something a little more interesting than just this skull. If I was a good host, I would have already done some of this stuff. You wouldn't have to watch it. Good night, sis. Love you. All right. So as far as Mache work goes for the skull tonight, that part's done. Like I said, after this dries out, then I'll put another 2 or 3 layers on this this week to have the skull strong and prepped for next week. All right, Brian. We're not going to do any teeth work tonight because this all needs to dry out because I'll cut this layer out. So I'm going to go ahead and start. We're going to put together what's going to be basically the base shape of the head for the raven, or the skull, and the rib cage area. And I've been debating the rib cage area whether I go ahead, because I'm going to be using internally for the structure. I've got, this is some wire. This is like a 12-2 house wire for wiring your house. I've had some left over from the project, and I think it's going to be strong enough because a raven shouldn't have a whole lot of weight. It's going to have a little bit of weight, but not a whole lot. So I'm thinking I'm going to use this that'll run up and basically up the spine, up to the head, down one side, and down to the legs. We're going to do that raven that's only got one leg, and then the other leg is like a bone just sticking out. So this will basically be one piece of wire that's going to run from the skull up through the raven and up to the head. Doing the head structure is not going to be a big deal because it can be attached at any time. The rib cage area, I've been debating on whether I build the ball around this and go ahead and attach it, or if I just do this ball separate, not really a ball, it's going to be a different shape, and build that rib cage where I can cut that in half and then just cut the ribs out and then wind up adhering it to this later. And that may be how I do it. And the only reason I'm doing the rib cage thing is because I want to expose ribs, right? We're going to have some feathers on there or whatever, corpsey type feathers and stuff, but I want some of that torn away, and I want to have a rib structure exposed underneath. So I think that's what we're going to do. So doing that, that's the thing. For me, like when I want to get detailed, I try to get like super detailed. So I'll like build all this stuff that's going to go underneath first, make it look as good as I can, and then I'll skin around all that stuff, and maybe you won't even see 90% of what I made and only a few pieces, but it just makes it easier for me to have options of what I want to do instead of just building a few ribs coming in and out. So I think that's the avenue I'm going to go, and it may be the harder way to do it, I don't know, but at least this way, by the time I get the rib cage cut out and built and put back on, if I want to expose the whole thing I can. If I don't want any of it exposed, then I'll cover it all up, and it's a big waste of time, but it gives me that option to go either way. So we're going to wrap up a head and basically wrap up almost like an egg shape type of thing for this rib cage. And I'm just going to use this paper. I got something right here. Do this with.
I just followed the notes that it said I have to go to hardware store. You get a cart from my water here. Get my water heater going then. I will go to like my phone so I can listen to coffee real quick on my left. And then April said you do your good host good. You first, but the struggle is real.
The struggle is real on some of this stuff. Especially something like this, right, that I've never done before, and I'm just trying to figure this out on the fly. And what I mean really by on the fly is I've thought about this a little bit during the week, but I haven't put a whole lot of thought in to how this is going to happen. So I'm really coming up with the ideas as I go. And right now I'm just trying to get a basic decent size of the head, because I didn't plan on making the raven real small. Maybe they're saying about yay tall. That may work decent right there. And that's what I do a lot too, is when I build things, I'm comparing them to what I've got going on or other things to keep the size and shape in proportion. So we'll see how this works. And that's the struggle on doing this stuff live, right? Because usually if I make a tutorial on something, I've already built it like once or twice. And I've already gone through the struggles of what to do, or I've done it and I've thought about it and been like, you know what, it'd be a lot easier if I do it this way. And so then I find the easier ways to do it, and then I create a tutorial to show you guys how to do it. And so this, you guys get to see the real trip of me figuring out how I'm really going to make something, and I have no clue. It can be. It really can be. And then it's also irritating sometimes when once you're 90% done and you're just like, oh man, I should have done it like this. Couldn't tell you how many times I've done that. So we're going to make kind of a beak shape here that we're going to attach to this head. And some hot glue. Some hot glue. No, I don't want to do that, so I'm going to cut this in half. Later, I want to tape this on. Right. Realizing how you should have done it. So here's the thing. Could have made this ball with aluminum foil. You could have made the whole shape with aluminum foil. May have been a little bit easier. But I plan on, once this is mached, I'm going to cut this entire thing in half. That way I can open up the beak and everything else, because I want the beak to be open. I don't want it to be closed. So I'm just using newspaper and tape. That way once I got the shape together, it'll be easy to cut all the way through this, unpack everything, and have a hollow shell where I can position the beak how I want it. So that's why I'm going with this approach. an aluminum foil. You can cut through it, but it's much easier to cut through newspaper and tape than hard pack foil. See, we got kind of a crow skull shape going on here. The beak may be a little long or a little big. We can trim that back later. So this is going to be our base for our raven's head. So that's going to work. Let's put together a deal for the body. Man, I wish. I'm filming on my phone, and I'm usually looking at reference pictures on my phone. So you guys are going to have to forgive me. Oh, that. Are you ready? Is it in here? Yeah, hang on, guys. I got to pull up some reference real quick so I don't get out of whack with this rib cage area. Come on. Google's your friend, especially Google Images. Anytime you're trying to do any new project, all the references, man, use as much reference as you can. It will really help out. I do too, except my printer is out of ink, so I haven't been able to print anything. And it's so much easier when you've got that reference in front of you. So I showed you guys this last week or whatever. This is basically the look we're going to go for, right? And I know in this one, you know, you can see there's more feathers and stuff there. But I want, in the same sense, I like the way that looks, right? I like the kind of zombie effect and stuff on the way those feathers are, or the corpse effect. But this picture, where we can see some of these ribs that are exposed on this one, I like that too. So my plan is to take a mix between a few of these where we've got some ribs exposed, we've got that real cool kind of mummified, corpsey, feathery thing on that one, and bring the two together. That's why I want to do this rib cage separate and do all this other stuff over the top of it. Yeah, it really is. See, I looked up when you look up just like a raven skeleton, their chest piece is really weird. got this crazy shaped bone up front when you get a real, you don't get these BS pictures of store-bought crap. This one right here. See, and then you got this. And this is an actual skeleton. You got your ribs and you got this crazy chest piece out here that almost looks like an axe head in a way. So I want to keep the true shape like that with this thing, and I'm trying to figure out what's going to be the best way to do that. It looks like it's got a big wishbone up front and then these ribs. Yeah, pretty much. That's what's happening. Now this is going to be a tad bit difficult. Yeah, I think we can pull that. Sorry guys, I should have studied this closer before I looked at some of it, but so I think if we do almost like an egg shape and bring it to a point on one side and round it off on the top side, that'll give us a decent base shape that we can carve the ribs into. And I don't really need to worry about the chest plate, because we'll cover that and we'll just leave a few of the ribs exposed on the side. Yep. Yeah, you're right. It is an anchor point for the wing muscle, I'm sure. Where's my head? Where's my head? Okay, let's see if we can pull this off. I just saw virus haunts. One deal that said anchor point for the wing muscles, but I don't know if I've missed anything else. Alright, so what I'm trying to do, we've got that chest plate. Even though I'm probably going to show the chest plate, like those ribs will kind of come out right, and then they're going to taper down real sharp. So I'm going to take this bulk ball, and it's going to be a little fatter on this side. And I'm pinching the paper together real tight here, and then I'm bringing some tape around here, and then I'm tape this together tight. That way I can keep that sharp ridge right here, and then it can ball out towards the back side. And I think that'll be a decent base shape to work this rib cage off of. At least in my head, that's what I think is going to work. So we're going to try it like that. So what'll wind up happening is I'm gonna mache these two pieces, one for the ribs here and then the head, and then we'll wind up cutting these and running the wire through all this later and attaching this to the wire later once we've got the kind of the ribs cut out, and I'm gonna cheat it a little bit because I think I'll make a small little bone piece here, and then all the rest of this stuff will be ribs. It won't be like perfectly anatomically correct, but it should look pretty cool when it's done. And then I'm really going to layer this chest area up. I'm going to put a lot of mache on this, not just tonight, but through the week, because once these ribs are going to be so small, right? And I'm going to make this as strong as I can so those little ribs will hold up and not collapse once this is all cut apart and cut down the ribs.
I was thought that I would never be able to do a video like this. I spent the face in it.
Oh, me too, man. I mean, that's what makes it tough, right? I stare and look and try to think and stare, and then I'm sitting around and I'm getting worried that everybody's falling asleep that's watching, and it's a learning thing for me doing this whole live. I'm enjoying it a little bit. I hope everybody else is. I mean, I really do. Because like I've said before, and I'll say it 1,000 more times, it's just, I hope you guys are learning. The biggest thing is you guys can ask questions directly, right? And we can talk back and forth, and I can try to answer those questions for you guys right here now. And it doesn't have to be on this project. It can be on something else. Do I not have any scissors down here? This is what happens when your room isn't. I don't know where the scissors go. What I get for not having this room put back together properly. Paul, I'm glad you're enjoying it. Carrie went looking for scissors. I want to trim this and this. I don't want to mache that. I want that rounded. So I'm going to trim that off first. And then we're going to mache these. I'll go ahead and start macheing the head, but I don't want to get my hands all nasty. And then grab scissors. Use XX. What do you see? Oh, I wish I knew everybody's YouTube names versus Facebook. I want to do a buzzard too. That's like been something on a back burner forever. I made wood buzzards years ago and had them on the house, perched up on the house, and I thought they were really cool. And I've always wanted to make some mache buzzards, and I never have. I should probably do that. I think it would be a really cool project. We'll see how this raven turns out, how much of a pain this is, and I'll figure out. I think the buzzard would be easier to be bigger. Yeah, but it's such a fine line, right? Even when I do my tutorials, I try to make sure there's enough in the tutorial that you can really pick up how to make whatever it is right? So the important things are really there, so you really understand how to create it, and at the same time, make it short enough or entertaining enough that someone's going to watch all the way through and not just get bored with it and turn it off. So there's a big difference. And like I said, I need to get back. I need to do tutorials that are like that, and then go ahead and continue to do this live stuff on the weeks. And then you guys that want to see it live can, and then those guys that want to see an edited tutorial, so pick up and see an edited tutorial. Get out of the way. Alright, and these two pieces here are going to be the last things I do tonight. It is 9:30 my time. I've got an early day. It's about 2. So we'll get these done real well. Get these in shade real good. Next week we'll move back over to the skull. Get the teeth in there. We'll get some clay layered up on it. Get some detail on it. And I'll at least get it finished. I may have to cut the thing back open again to do the lights. But I'll worry about that at that point in time. And once I got the skull kind of 85%, then I can get the bird down on there. And we can start moving along this bird more. Hey baby, if you want to go on, you can go to bed. I'll walk closer to the screen and pick up anybody's comments.
Not at all. I'm going to bed. The headache.
And Carrie's struggling. She's going to go ahead and go to bed. She had a bad headache all night long, and she's been hanging, trying to watch you guys' comments to help me out. She's going to finally give in. So I'll try to pay closer attention to this screen here so I can see your guys' comments come up. Yeah. Okay. See you, Lindy. Good night. I think the bird's going to come out good. It's going to take a little bit to figure him out. But tonight's a decent start. I'm already getting, just by doing this, I'm already getting a better feel of how I'm going to pull this guy off. And I think that's the biggest thing too, right? Like even talking earlier, you know, a lot of us will sit around and we stare and look at things forever, trying to figure out exactly how we're going to do it. And for the most part, once you just start, right? And for me anyway, once I start and get into it, then as I'm working on it, that's when everything starts to come together, and that's when the train of thought comes around, and that's when I really get a good flow, right? And I can really figure out how the piece is going to come together. Because I have a tendency to overthink things a lot if I spend too much time thinking or looking at reference or whatever. Doesn't make any sense to you guys at all. That's right. That's right, virus, that's for sure. That's the method. Mm-hmm. Keeping it simple. But then I'm like always finding myself wanting to make the next project like epic, right? Bigger and badder than the next one, more detailed than the next one, and sometimes a good thing, and sometimes that's a bad thing. Oh, it's quiet. I'm sorry, guys. I'm just concentrating on this, so I'm not talking much at the moment. How many of you guys are actually working on another project or something while you're sitting around here watching this or listening to this? See, I do that a lot too, like whether it's Hunter's Hangout or maybe Alan Hotz has done something or whatever. If I'm in the middle of projects, a lot of times I'll turn that stuff on while I'm doing another project just to have that stuff in the background. Sometimes it helps with inspiration to keep yourself motivated. Alright, I'm going to let him dry up. Like I said, that's our base for a skull for the Raven. This nose, I know it's a little funky here, but I'll wind up cutting this off later, trimming that down. But I'm going to let this dry up, and I'll probably put another 4 or 5 layers on this thing. Yeah, that's right, Greg. I remember you left and went and got something to work on. Working on another journal. Sweet. I made that one spell book, and then I haven't made another one at all. And that was actually a pretty fun build. I need to make 4 or 5 more. But that's a problem with me too, right? Besides like pumpkins, I guess. Once I make one thing like the spell book or like the wolf or whatever, and I kind of get that out of my system, then I find it hard to make another one, because then my mind's going on to, something different. I want to make something that I haven't made before. So then I go try to find something else to make, and that's where my yard will suffer for Halloween, because there's certain scenes that could use more of the same thing that I've made, but I'm constantly wanting to make something new. And a lot of the times I make stuff just to see if I can make it. I've got, for the yard hunt this year, Greg, originally I wanted to do, like this year, I've never really themed my yard, so I was actually going to do a theme in the yard, and it was all going to be like twisted pumpkin creatures, right? I was going to bring the dragon back out, and I got some pretty cool ideas for some different pumpkin vine creatures that I thought would be really cool. And then Bill had that pumpkin scorpion thing. I want to make it. But also at the same time, a buddy of mine has got a building downtown, and it's a two-story building, and we've been talking about actually building a true haunted house. So if we start working on the true haunted house, I don't know how much of my yard stuff I'm going to do, right? So if we really go after a full-blown haunt, then I may be switching gears as far as the yard goes. And we'll just see how that stuff pans out later on this year. Yeah, Jason, I get that a lot too. People will be like, oh, you couldn't make this. And I'm like, oh yeah? Watch. I like a good challenge, though. That's how that Joker tutorial I made, that came, Diablo, Jose, we were chatting one night and BSing and kind of picking on each other, and then he sent me this Joker picture. He's like, make this then. I'm like, alright, I'll make it. So that's the only reason that tutorial even exists, is because I was challenged to make that Joker. Oh, my finger won't react. Yeah, either way, I mean, if it's just the yard, I'll be doing tutorials and things I make in the yard, and then if we do the haunt, if we do the haunt, then I'll vlog like the whole thing, the build of the haunt, everything that we're doing, plans for the future, and that type of stuff. So I'll be filming that stuff as we do it and putting it on YouTube. I'll put a few pictures and stuff on Facebook, but man, I like YouTube so much better. I like to see the things people make. I like to see people's faces and hear the voices and that type of stuff. That's why I used to really love it when all the haunters out there everybody had a YouTube channel, man, and as they made things for the weekend or whatever, and updates on the props they made, everybody put them out, and I love that stuff. And I know everybody does it on Facebook now, right? But Facebook is like, there's no personal connection on Facebook, right? It's just it's a picture and a description or whatever, unless you know the people, and I know quite a few, but unless you know them, there's no real connection there, right? And YouTube always created this different aspect, and I like that, and I miss the fact that most of the people in my circle of haunters aren't putting YouTube videos up, and I miss that stuff. I think that was, I don't know, I feel like, to me, that was a bigger inspiration to people doing stuff, is just seeing the videos and seeing what people are doing at home and their obstacles versus just a here's a work in progress on Facebook or here's my completed project on Facebook, you know. Yeah, that's awesome on the dark fairy. And you can, man, you can get real fine, real small detail with Mache. I've done it. I've made some small, really small stuff that I hadn't even ever posted. And you can get that. And it just takes a little more time. But it can be done. I made a pumpkin about that big once for the whole face. Sweet, I like to see you back on YouTube, Virus. I mean, everybody, dude, not just you. I mean, it's just like out of what I would say are the originals, you know, from back in the day. There's really nobody doing anything. I try to, and I try to do the tutorials, you know, and I need more time to do them, and that's where I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna do something live. And I'll do it on YouTube. At least it's something, right? Something to try to carry that flame for prop building and YouTube. Of course, my stuff's focused on Mache, where everybody else's is different, but it takes a special breed to have the patience for Mache. As it does take time. But that goes back to the whole deal in my videos. Making something from nothing, right? I mean, the skull is a replica, so you can't really call that nothing, but this raven. And we're going to build the chest piece, the head, it's all going to be nothing, just an idea. And by the time we're done, it's going to be something really cool to look at. So we do the haunt, this raven and skull will be a prop in the haunt. So no matter what's happening, whatever I'm working on here and whatever idea you guys come up with that you want me to work on, somehow, some way, it's either going to be in the haunt or it's going to be in the yard. I'll make use of it. Yeah, I mean, you can get burnt out on Mache. Like right now, this is the worst part, right? This is the easiest part to get burnt out on is this strip Mache. I hate it the most, but it's a necessary evil. You need a good base to work off of. I've gotten myself burnt out, not just burnt out on Mache, but just burnt out from working on stuff. And it doesn't last long, right? Because I've always got to be doing something, and I always want to be making something. So my burnout sessions only last for maybe a week or so, and then I'm done. And I've got to be making something else, making something new. And I can't say I've got burned out on Mache itself, because I enjoy the fact that I can create anything I want, no matter how small or no matter how big. I can create anything that I want to create with hardly any money invested at all. And I've got the materials right here in the house, and I can get started on that at any point in time. Just like that dragon. The dragon is huge, and I don't know, I got $20 in it, with that. You know, that's, for me, where I really enjoy doing Mache. And that's the biggest thing for me too, right? And I haven't done it in a while. I really gotten involved in the project. Because props can always be made out of foam and latex. Everybody does it. Those are the ones everybody buys, you know. Sculpt something with clay and make a mold and pour it and move on. And I love all that stuff and I respect all that stuff. But everybody knows you can make killer stuff with that type of material. It's expensive, but everybody can do it. Most people don't understand that you can make the same stuff with as much detail with just paper and glue, and I love that, right? I love to make something that other guys out there that make it are like, whoa, what's that? You make that out of what? I enjoy that. I love that aspect. Oh, no. Crap. Hang on. Okay, there you go. My hands are sticky and I'm trying to... Thanks, brother. I don't know if I'd say I was the master. And that's a good idea, Paula, switching back and forth. You know. Well, Logan, it's cool. Good to see you on here, bro. I don't know if you posted earlier and I missed it. But glad to see you here tonight. Hope everything's going good, man. I missed Transworld this year. It's been fun seeing you. Alright. So this thing's soft. And to really start getting this to smash down the stick, I need to really start giving it some force. So I'm going to let this dry up. That way I can add more layers and be way more aggressive with it. And get everything to pinch down better. But this will be a good start base. But it needs to dry up. So just like the skull this week, I'll wrap this a bunch more. And I'll wrap the skull for the raven a bunch more. But I'm really going to put quite a bit on this because I need this to be very strong. Especially when we go start carving ribs and stuff out of this because they're going to be teeny tiny ribs. Right? So I need it to be as strong as possible so that those will hold up. So let this dry. Let this dry. Gosh, that's stuff everywhere. We got our big skull that's going to be drying. And I'll wrap it, like I said tonight. I just laid that mache over the areas where we cut. The rest of this week I'll go back and I'll probably give it 2 or 3 more layers so it's that strong, so it's that much more strong. So we're going to leave it there. I'm going to leave it there. If I work on anything else, I'm just going to wind up jacking stuff up. I need this stuff to dry. And that's, you got to learn to call it quits too. And I have a hard time doing that. So I'm going to leave it. I'm going to call this quits. We got the skull started for the raven. Or at least our base of our head or skull started for the raven. We've got the chest area that's going to be the ribs. That started for the raven. We've got the skull pulled apart, put back together, and it's going to be ready to go next week. We'll put the teeth into that thing. We're going to do a layer of clay on it, and I've still got to figure out exactly how I'm going to do the lighting in it because I do want more of a glow coming out of the eyes. So I don't want LEDs right up in the eyes, but I also want to put some foam in there too, so that wire for the raven can shove down into the skull and get something to grasp a hold of. I just got to figure out how I'm going to do the lighting situation. in that. I've got a couple different ideas in my head how I might be able to pull that off and get it to look right. But we'll still go ahead and shave the skull. Play the skull up anyway. If I got to cut back into it again, we may have to address lighting next week before I put a layer of clay all over that thing. It's probably going to be the smartest thing to do. So I'm going to come up with my lights I'm going to use. I'll try to find out this week. Hopefully come up with the lighting that we need so we can go ahead and address the lighting issue. That way we can get foam and everything inside that thing and get all the insides and the internals done. And then we can work on the outside. That's going to be the smarter route. Alright, so next week is what we're going to try to do. I got to come up with some lighting. I got a couple different things from Halloween that I may use. Some small LED kind of battery things. And then a way to channel that light to the eyes and then still be able to get some spray foam and around that stuff. That's going to be next week. That's going to be the big project is the light source and getting everything going. So that's what we'll work on next week. We got this going. I'm excited to get the Raven. I want to push further to the Raven, but we've got to get the lighting situation figured out. So next week, same time, Monday night, 8 o'clock Central Time, and we'll get this lighting situation done. That way everything will be done inside the skull, then we can layer clay on it, and we can move away from the skull, which is boring, and we can work on everything else. So I appreciate you guys that are hanging out. I love it. I'm glad there's a core few of you guys that show up every Monday night. You really don't know how much I appreciate it. Glad you guys are there. If you guys weren't here to do it, I wouldn't be doing it. You guys are the reason I do it. So I'll see all y'all next week. And hopefully I'll see you same guys again. See ya, Virus. See ya, Paula. And everybody have a good night. And we'll see y'all next week.